All right, here's my favorite foliage plant. This is called Canna Tropicanna. And if you want to bring the look of the tropics to your patio, this is the plant to go for. Now, Canna Tropicanna is an Anthony Tesselaar plant. That's the guy who developed these great colorful cannas. You can buy them this great big size at the nurseries. You can also find them in a smaller size container. I like to use the bigger ones for great big containers. And let me show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to make a container garden with a tropical look with a twist. First of all, notice this pot here. It is broken. Yep, I reuse broken pots, especially when you're doing something wild and jungle-like. And I'm going to put this great big canna towards the back. Now, here's a great tip. When you design a container garden, this one is just set into a flower bed. You only see it from the front. So I'm putting the height at the back rather than put the tall plant in the middle. Now, what contrasts with these big paddle-shaped leaves is I'm picking up the fact that there is a hot pink vein in the middle of these burgundy Canna Tropicanna leaves. And so I found a cherry-colored cordyline. A cordyline has great spiky foliage, direct contrast with the broad paddle-shaped leaves of the Canna Tropicanna. So I'll put that nestled in right beside Canna Tropicanna. And now, because I've picked up on the cherry, I want a great foliage contrast. So here is a heuchera. Heucheras are perennial plants. They come back year after year. Lime green foliage, again, a different shaped leaf. So a different texture, but because we have these spiky pink flowers, a great match with the hot pink cherry sensation cordyline and the Canna Tropicanna. So that's going to go in front. And you see I've got a little bit of a creeping Jenny trailing out the sides of that broken pot. Now, great foliage plants for any container garden are the sweet potato vine. This is a lime green margarita sweet potato vine. This one is sweet Caroline red. Both of these are foliage plants that really add to the very tropical Hawaiian look of any container garden. So I can also add those, once again, putting the contrasting foliage, the purple next to the lime green, and maybe a little bit of lime green over here right by your canna. So I'm going to get this all planted up later on in the show, and wait till you see what I mulch it with. It adds that whole container garden with a twist. Kind of goes with the broken pot idea. But first, there's another container garden that I want to tell you about in my garden. These three foliage plants, Euphorbia, Tasmanian tiger, a golden hardy fuchsia, Aria, and a purple heuchera. Three foliage plants that have been growing in the same container for 3 years without replanting. So when you use fantastic foliage in pots, you save yourself a lot of work and a lot of money because you're reusing them year after year. One little tip here, you see that there's a little bit of spit on this plant here. This is from the spit bug. When you see spit or this spittle on your plants, don't panic. Don't reach for a chemical. Use a hose or watering can. Just hose it off and you'll be done. So now that we've talked about fantastic foliage in pots, I want to show you how we can use fantastic foliage of trees and shrubs to really add more interest and a tropical flair to your landscape. Hey, you've got me here removing the spent flowers from these heuchera plants. Now that's because heucheras are a beautiful foliage plant, and we're learning all about contrasting foliage in today's show. And this is one of my favorite trees for beautiful foliage. This is called a tricolor beech. It's a beech tree, but it actually has pink and burgundy and little touches of white on the leaf. Now, when you have a really busy foliage like this in this tree, not only does it help to have, plants in the same color family, like, once again, here's the Canna Tropicanna popping up all over my garden because I love this tropical look, but also it helps to have a plain backdrop. Two tricks going on here. You can see in the back I have an empty pot. It's empty except for 3 bamboo poles that are stuck in there. Empty pots are low maintenance, and they provide a wonderful, smooth, solid contrast to busy foliage. Another thing is there is a very plain backdrop, just 2 sections of fencing material that, that Joe built just so that we'd have a really simple backdrop to show off the foliage of the tri-color beach. Now, if you want to learn more about how to build something like this, go to diginseattle.com, where you're going to find a link to the blog that I write for Lowe's.com, where you're going to learn a lot of different construction tips for things that we've done in our garden. But meanwhile, we have more information for you on this show, and we're going to be headed to Fernie's next, where we're going to learn about using lime green foliage and also about growing and pruning hydrangeas.
Coming up today in Dig In, we're going to make mussels with a tomato, basil, and bacon broth.